Yo guys, what is up? It's Teach here, coming at you with another video, and this one is about a creature that got released a little bit ago. You can see it right here, the Rhyniognatha. I don't know how to say it properly, but that's, that's that. This is all this creature's abilities, what it's capable of, and things that you can actually use it for. Now, I'm going to go ahead and show you. I'm going to go ahead and hop on. Just like you can see in the exomech in the bottom left corner, you can actually see how to actually complete all of its move sets. There is one that's hidden on there, but that's basically just to carry anything that's not a character. So you have to carry vaults and stuff like that. Now, what is the stats of this guy? Now you can see that he has a special production over there, but this is a totally capped out, wild tamed Rhyniognatha. I'm just going to call him Rhynios for the time being. This had pretty good health stat and a pretty good melee stat. Now, these are the two things you want to focus on because they've got pretty good stamina off the rip, and the health in general is pretty good, but you want to beef it because it's nice to have higher health just across the board. Now, higher melee damage is always good because increasing the amount of melee they do, it does not increase their overall shooting. So if you want to think about it, this is literally for their hand-to-hand combat. So you wouldn't necessarily need to pump it into melee. You could pump it into all health stamina or all health stamina weight. That's up to you. Now, those are its stats described. Now, the next thing, resin. Now, this is something that they produce naturally as soon as you put sap inside of them. About every 5 seconds or so, they're going to create one resin by using one sap. Now, that resin allows you to shoot things. Now, in order to do that, you have to be taken off because you can only use your base attack on the ground like this. However, if you jump up in the air, you can see me doing it right now. If you hold your secondary attack, it will start shooting and launching whatever you are on for its like active set. So you can see that right now I've got that ball launch, if you want to think of it that way. In order to change this, you just have to hit control and then your secondary attack, and then you can switch to whatever you happen to be on. You can go into this mode right here. You can see that I've got that like automatic weapon, and then if you switch it, you can actually go into like a rocket mode that will track anything in the sky. You can see there's one right there, and then it'll launch on and actually track that thing. It doesn't do big damage, but it will cause a buff to slow things down, which is pretty huge. So I'll go ahead and show you how much damage these things actually do, because it's kind of nice to see. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and show you right now. There you go. There's the lock on. You let go of the click, and it'll launch its thing. You can see that it applies a buff on top of the stego, and that's going to give you a complete breakdown before it's like resined in place, and it's kind of just like stuck there. Now, you can see right now that I've also, if I just go ahead and click on it again, it can be launched without actually locking on, but it will lock on if you use that kind of like the rocket launcher. Now, the next thing you want to be able to do, that right there, it launches like a sticky bomb. It has an immediate buff right there of 150, and then it applies the stack, and you can see that this guy right here is stuck in the resin, which is quite a bit of cooldown. Actually, it takes quite a bit of time. So if you hit something with that ball, it is very, very dangerous because they'll get stuck in place. Now, if you switch to the last attack, it's literally like a machine gun because you can just like poke, yeah. And the cool thing about it is you can move and you can use your sprint while doing this, so you can constantly output damage. And it does work like a gun because if you aim for like the head and stuff like that, it will do the increased damage and it'll apply that extra stack. Now, it doesn't really give any sort of debuff or buff along the way. It would be okay for maybe defending to try and knock someone off a mount, but really not super valuable. Now, those are the 3 attacks. Now, it's got some really unique ability in order to pick things up, however, because it can pick up just about anything, whether it's flying, whether it's large, medium, or small tame. Now, in order to do that, you just click your middle mouse button, and it can carry just about anything, including a Giganotosaurus. Now, it will take damage from it, so just so you are aware, make sure your health is being checked, because if not, you're gonna have big problems, and you just hit that same button in order to drop it. Now, what's kind of special about these guys, if you go ahead and change how you do it, right? So if I sit here and I hit control, right? I'm going to go ahead and hit control, click, and that's going to allow me to pick up a vault if I can actually carry it. Now, that is not my tribe's vault, as it turns out, so that's unfortunate, but you can pick up vaults by doing that combination, and you can drop them. Now, you can't place them anywhere. It has to be placed on a foundation itself, otherwise there's no value to it, so keep that in mind. Now, last thing I'm going to show you, kind of important, is the actual melee on it. So you can see that there's a 285 damage, and it's not that great. It takes pretty heavy sustained knockback from some creatures, but it's not that great of a melee. So I don't think it's ever going to be something that you're going to use instead of like a Giganotosaurus or something like that. But the speed allows it to attack quickly, so I can dive on things pretty quickly and do some damage from a distance, which is nice. So that's pretty much it. There's nothing super special about it. Now, I'm sure there are ways that you're going to be able to use this thing in order to, like you can see this right here, I can kind of shoot this thing as I'm going, which is pretty nice. And if I really wanted to, I can go ahead and switch the mode that I'm on, and I can shoot it out of the sky, which is kind of cool. So if I'm like using that sprint, nothing can catch you, and you can kind of just run something down, which is convenient. And you can see that bar on top, and that bar will kind of like lock it in place. Oh, wow, it's like not loading on for some reason. But that bar, if it gets to full, it's going to serve as a thing to knock it out of the sky because it applies that stack to it. Now, overall, pretty cool tame. Nothing super great in my opinion because it doesn't like really have any special stuff going on for it. You can see that takes 330 damage from that. You can decrease that by half by putting on Resin armor. In order to do that, you're going to go ahead and click Control C, and you can see that he puts this like armor stuff on, and that armor will consume your generic stuff, but you'll see the heavy reduction in damage because of that. It takes about half damage when you put that out there. So it is somewhat useful, I suppose, but I wouldn't say that it's something that I would call broken, because it just takes half damage essentially. Now again, it cannot damage metal with any of its attacks. I don't think it can even damage adobe structure, as you see right there. So overall, pretty cool creature, more of a utility creature than any sort of fighter or anything along those lines, but neat creature overall. So hopefully this video helps you out, and other than that, teach out.